Hello everyone, this is Gary Rosen. I'm the Regional Sales Director for Carlson Software for Canada. And this is 3-Minute Power Tools. Recently, this past winter, I needed to sharpen up the wedge on my wood splitter, the steel wedge that the wood gets split with. And it was pretty dull. The wood was just kind of popping, not splitting. So I went and got one of these and thought that'll do the job, and went to work and worked for a while and wasn't really getting anywhere, and finally went back out and got one of these, and much better. That's a power tool. So what we're going to explore in this series are Carlson power tools to make your life easier. Carlson's Polyline Elevation Editor is found in Carlson Civil, Construction, and Takeoff. In Civil, it's on the 3D data menu, third item down. What I'm going to do is draw a rectangle, and we'll just start here. We'll say dimensions 200 by 150. Draw it out here, and that's what we start with. Our drawing inspector shows us that it's at elevation 0 to start with. We'll immediately fire up the Polyline Elevation Editor, which of course does exactly what it says, and lists the vertices. They're all at 0, it's flat, and we're ready to start working. We'll go to vertex number 1, and we'll set the elevation to 100. And when we press enter, it starts by setting all the vertices to 100. So that's fine. We'll lock number 2 at 100, but for number 3, we're going to come over here to the slope from number 2 to 3, and we're going to say that we want a minus 2% slope. And it calculates a minus 2 across here, sets it to 97, and then we're going to lock number 4. We're going to set it to 97, and we immediately have a 2% cross slope across this slab going down in that direction. So there's a great start. These are things that would be much more difficult to do other ways. Doable, like my file, could be done, but much more of a power tool here. The next thing I'm going to do is just simply draw a line with CAD from the midpoint. We'll go from the midpoint right here, and we'll just ortho it across and move it into place so it intersects in both places. And now we're going to pick our polyline that we're working with, and we're going to say add vertex at crossing. We're going to pick this line and press enter, and it immediately calculates, sets new vertices, calculates the elevation from where they were interpolated across there. Extremely powerful option there. Now what we can do is we can go to vertex, let's say 3. We can pick it here, or we can pick it from the list, and let's say we want to make that 100. We want it to be flat from here, from here to here is flat, and then it goes down. For instance, we come over here, do the same thing, maybe set that to 100 as well. Okay, some great options. What other kinds of things can we do? Well, we can take this vertex, we can right click now, and we can say move. Push it in this direction with ortho on and say 25. And we can just move that vertex. We can grab this one, push it in this right click and say move, and push it over to the left and say 25, and start changing the shape of this thing. I'm going to go ahead and erase our line that we drew, our construction line there. Now, we have new vertices here, as you can see, and we can see that they're all locked. Okay, but if we wanted to, we could unlock, let's say 3 and 6. What they call here is control. So 3, we unlock it, and the calculation is done for the elevation. It's taken away from what it was, and it's reset to a new elevation, which is interpolated. Okay, now let's try something else. If I thaw this layer called geometry text, I've actually got some text here for spot elevations that I want to use on these vertices. Okay, let's move this one closer here to kind of say this is where they were supposed to be. Okay, I've got some spot elevations I want to assign. So I come in here, I pick this vertex, and I right click and I say pick elevation, and it says pick a point or elevation text, and I just pick the piece of text, believe it or not, and it sets the vertex to that corner, for that corner. I pick this one, I right click, pick elevation, pick a piece of text, it assigns that elevation to that vertex. So you can very quickly, if you have spot elevations, you can very quickly pick that, right-click, and pick the elevation for this right there, and set elevations by text or by points if you have points as well. Same thing. So there's another thing you can do. Here's another thing you can do. I can come over to this vertex, zoom in here, and say that I want to right-click and use a surface. Now this is floating over a surface. It looks like this. I can show you the contours, but I'll say that's the surface we want to use, and it says show me where to pick, and I snap right in there and it picks up the elevation. You can see here it is, 465.59 was picked up from the surface for that point. You can do that as well. Here's another thing you can do. You can say edit, polyline, and densify. So let's say we densify this polyline and we add every 50 meters. Okay, pick it, and we say 50, and this now has vertices. They're all listed here immediately. Now the ones that were there before are locked, and the new ones are not. They're floating. They're not controlled. So we can assign elevations to any of those as well. So there's a whole range of things you can do. This is just to get you started. You can use the toolbar over here. You can use the right-click menu, pick elevations, control selected vertices, freeze vertices, move vertices. You can add a vertex too. Here's create a vertex. So it says, okay, vertex position. I'll say right there, and it comes right in and picks one. I can pick this one and say move. Here's move vertex, this one right here, and say move, and pick a new location, and so on. So you can move vertices, you can delete vertices as well. I can come in and say delete selected vertex right here, and just delete that one and get rid of if I didn't want to do that. So you have all sorts of creativity, adding vertices, moving vertices, assigning elevations by slope or by specific elevation. You can use the tools here to do that with, and you are building a 3D poly to use for your terrain modeling, and you're using a super power tool to do it. So that's today's power tool, the Polyline Elevation Editor. It used to be called Edit Assign Polyline Elevations a couple versions ago. We changed the name. The gentleman that worked on it did a bunch of work to improve it, and it's just a power tool that you really should be aware of if you're doing data prep for machine control, any sort of modeling for design purposes. This is just a great tool to use. So I hope that's helpful, and go to it. It's all about creativity. Use these tools, use your imagination, put them to work, and let us know what you come up with. Thanks very much.